Thank you so much for having me at the Pan-Asia Soy Food Summit. Today I'm going to cover how sustainability has moved over the past decade from a fad to a fundamental requirement for today's consumer and what that means for your business. Driving this change is a new food consumer. This consumer is asking more questions and demanding more information about what they eat. They're no longer dependent on television and print advertising, and they instead use technology engaged with social media. Powerful influencers, some with millions of followers, replace advice from mom in the local supermarket. Consumers are also choosing products on more than just physical attributes and price. They're asking questions, not just about the product itself, but also about the company that produced it. Leading the way for these new food consumers are the Millennials, those born between 1982 and 2000, who are now the largest demographic group in the US and in many other countries around the world. As the first generation that's grown up with technology, they have an oversized impact on the food marketplace. They're bringing disruption in the form of what they buy, where they buy it, and also how they shop, and with the answer here very often being online. In terms of what they buy, I'm going to very quickly throw out some broad generalizations about two areas that millennials typically exhibit different behavior. First, this generation has a much greater awareness and appreciation for the link between their health and what they eat. And it's not just their health, it's also their physical and their mental performance. This is a very positive change. Poor diets place a huge burden on countries like the US, where we spend an estimated $1.6 trillion a year on food and an estimated $1 trillion to $1.9 trillion on health costs related to diet-related conditions such as obesity and heart disease. Millennials are also leading the way on values-based decision-making. They're concerned about climate change, they're concerned about the environment, they're concerned about animal welfare and a host of other issues. Their choice of what they buy and eat also reflects these values, which they then turn around and share with the world through their social accounts. So what is in favor with this group? They like products that are local, fresh, healthy, and sustainable. These products are typically more expensive, so an important question today is how COVID will impact these choices, especially given the economic climate that we're moving into now. I see COVID as accelerating the trends that are already underway. It certainly has increased our awareness of the link between diet and health. Today, with hospitals full, overburdened, we can't afford to get sick. As our previous speaker, Dave Donnan, explained, consumers are buying more immunity-boosting foods already. We see this. And this COVID environment also puts a spotlight on the strained relationship between people and nature. While there may be some short-term impact on sustainable commitments to sustainable buying. For instance, we may see a return to single-use packaging, single-use plastics for foods, just for reasons of food safety. The long-term fundamentals remain very strong. Why do we know this? First of all, consumers are voting with their wallets. Sustainability claims sell products. Data from the United States, which lags behind Europe on sustainable consumption, show products with sustainability claims on the pack were 16.6% of the market in 2018, and that was up from 14.3% of sales in 2013. Importantly, products marketed as sustainable grew 5.6 times faster than those that were not. Categories such as milk, yogurt, coffee, salty snacks, bottled juices had the highest share of sustainably marketed products, some with over 18% of sales in the category. Another area that we see a real explosion of demand are plant-based proteins. This is happening because a greater emphasis being placed today on sustainable diets. Plant-based milks in particular are a booming business. Today, sales in the US are now over $2 billion, and that's 14% of all milk sales. And they're seeing a very widespread adoption by households. These are products that are not just for vegetarians. 41% of US households have purchased plant-based milks. So we look back at 2019, we're also going to note this is the year plant-based meats burst onto the scene. It's led by companies such as Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods, and then followed by many, many other new additions. These products have drawn strong investor interest. Some of them are backed by billionaires such as Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Richard Branson, who believe the food system's broken. And other investors have backed them, such as Temasek, the Singaporean sovereign wealth fund, who see them as a solution to food security and while maintaining the environment. Today, the largest animal protein and consumer foods companies in the world have also introduced products here. One prominent consulting firm projects that alternate meats, including plant-based and cultured products, will account for 60% of the protein market in 2040, so only 20 years from now. So there's compelling evidence that sustainability is a strong and durable value proposition for consumers. But what's the challenge for the food industry? The biggest one is just the question, what is it? What is sustainability? This definition is almost like a moving target. It started out being very strongly related to the environmental footprint of the business. It grew to the environmental footprint of the value chain. It expanded to include issues such as water and biodiversity, packaging, food waste, how animals are treated, how workers are treated, and today even incorporates dimensions of human health. So what do we know about sustainability? The first thing we know that's very clear is that it begins on the farm. It's impossible to produce sustainable products once you get past the farm gate. The land, the water, the crop inputs, the energy, most of that happens inside. And because of this, it requires a much tighter relationship today across the food chain, with food companies working backwards through the chain with producers themselves in order to assure that the products are grown in a sustainable way and that the data is there around these products to accompany that. Because of the evolving definition of sustainability and the different starting conditions in requirements, sustainability must be thought of as a journey without a specific endpoint. The most effective programs are based on continuous improvement. They must be data-driven. In my engineering classes, I learned that in order to control something, you have to start by measuring it. The next thing we know about sustainability is that it requires a fundamentally different approach to thinking about the business, that it's not just a commitment to check the boxes, to be compliant with the standards, but it's about engaging in initiatives across the supply chain to improve the conditions all the way through. So for companies that are, in the food business, it's not about finding the set of suppliers that can meet the criteria. It's about putting together a program and driving change going forward. So the question for food companies, it's clear that sustainability provides new opportunities to satisfy consumer needs. It provides an opportunity to enhance a brand reputation, and it also can provide an opportunity to secure an access to capital. Question is this, when you think about your own business, where are you in your sustainability journey? Are you simply holding on and defending your position? So basically doing the minimum required just to stay in the game? You're actually seeing sustainability as an opportunity to develop products that are different from the other products on the marketplace. Working within the category to set higher standards that allow you to attract consumers that are willing to pay higher prices and to allow that margin to flow back through. Are you actually defying conventional supply chains and working to replace traditional products and create new markets? For instance, that's the way I see companies that are working now in the alternative protein space. For instance, Oatly in the plant-based milk category, or companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods. So they're creating new demand based on new supply chains and bypassing the traditional supply chains before. There's a fourth category that you should also be thinking about. And these are companies that are actually out to disrupt the traditional land-based agricultural and food industry. So I would put in here the companies that are doing cultured meats, the companies that are doing dairy products based on fermentation, such as Perfect Day. And their motivation is they want to transform the food production system through innovation, and they want to eliminate. So their sustainability promise is to not have to use those environmental elements at all while still delivering the foods we need. So I look forward to discussing these ideas with you more in the panel. Thanks again for the opportunity to speak with you today, and I appreciate your attention and your comments.